Just press that. Okay, my name is Robin Kaleko. I'm the founding and acting director of the Yolo Basin Foundation. I've been asked to talk about the Yolo Bypass Working Group, and your materials say that we started in 1997 under a CalFed grant. But actually, we started in late 1989 as a grassroots effort to restore wetlands in the Yolo Basin. We've had various names over the years, but the working group has always been a forum for all the stakeholders with an interest in the Yolo Bypass, which is a huge number of people from state, federal agencies, elected officials, NGOs like California Waterfowl, Ducks Unlimited, Nature Conservancy, various Audubon chapters. We've worked with all the different federal and state agencies that have an interest in some sort of regulation of land management in the bypass. So that includes water quality, flood control, agriculture, and wildlife. So as a result of, I guess the best thing to come out of the Yolo Bypass Working Group is the Yolo Bypass Wildlife Area, 16,800 acres owned by the state of California, that Yolo Basin Foundation works in partnership to provide public use programs. I guess I'm the maniacal person behind the effort. I don't like to think of myself as a maniac. I think that what this effort needed, and for whatever reason I filled that bill, is you need someone with passion behind all these big restoration efforts. I really think that one of the keys to our success is having an NGO that is willing to lead the effort. As the leader of a nonprofit, I didn't have a career path to worry about as people in agencies do. I had to answer to my board, but I didn't have to answer to the governor or the resources agency. So when this very complicated project got bogged down, I could call my congressman or a general at the Army Corps of Engineers or the resources secretary. You really need someone that can work hard to keep all the parties talking to each other. So I've been working with the Yolo Bypass Working Group for a long time, and I think the best thing that's come out of this collaboration is a bunch of smaller collaborations. You know, as a forum, the working group doesn't make decisions. They don't really make recommendations. What this group has done is shared ideas and concerns. In the beginning, we used our CalFed money to hire a facilitator because there were so many conflicting opinions in the room. You know, farmers, regulators, passionate people about wildlife, water quality people, and we needed someone to sort of maintain order and help us get to areas of agreement and to learn to listen to each other. Now that we've been working together for almost 25 years, and a lot of the people are the same, we trust each other, we know each other. And so one thing I've learned about this long-term collaboration is longevity is a very good thing. You need someone who has, or a group of people that have some sort of community or institutional history. I think part of there's several factors that have led to the success of establishing and the long-term management of the Yolo Bypass Wildlife Area, which is seen by many as a model project. It's community-based. This was not mandated by a judge's ruling or a biological opinion. This was an effort to create habitat where there used to be habitat And it was a good idea. We've had the privilege of working on a project that is good for habitat's sake. It hasn't been about mitigation. It's not about regulation. It's about doing the right thing. So at some level, that's definitely been a privilege. From the very beginning, the group of people I've worked with from the community have believed in working with all the landowners first. That means listening to the farmers, the hunters, the duck club owners, the environmental interests, and the scientists. Everything we've done has been based on the science at the time. The management of the wildlife area has changed as there's been new science. At the very beginning, I was advised to get the support of local elected officials. I think that was the key to our success. Our congressman at the time, Vic Fazio, said that he would help us find federal money for restoration, but we had to have the support of all the elected officials, from the city councils to our state representatives. From the very beginning, we've included all the interests in the room, and I've been doing this so long. This is the working group predates the word stakeholder. So we've always made an effort to listen to those who know the land best, the landowners, the farmers, the wetland managers. And our goal has always been to balance uses. So the uses out there are hunting, wildlife viewing, environmental education, all the various functions of wetlands. The Yellow Bypass Wildlife Area meets the goals of the Central Valley Joint Venture, which is part of the North American Wetlands Conservation Act. And I think the secret is these projects take a long time. They don't ever get easier. They just get more complicated. At the beginning, we didn't have to worry about methyl mercury. Now we're looking at the methyl mercury TMDL and trying to come up with best management practices. At the very beginning, we didn't have to deal with West Nile virus. Now we've had to learn to manage wetlands with the goal of not being associated with a deadly disease. So I guess I'd just like to address a few of the challenges. Working with many different agencies, we've been blessed with working with a number of people for the entire time. But and that really worked when we initially worked with the Army Corps of Engineers in the early 90s. However, as the Corps changed, every 6 months we had a different person we were working with. Same with Fish and Wildlife Service and State Department of Fish and Wildlife Service. That makes it very difficult to build consensus or to collaborate when you're working constantly with a new person, because you have to respect that they don't know the history. They come with their own ideas, and you have to bring them up to speed. Earlier, I mentioned that really the best thing to come out of the working group, since it is a forum, not a decision-making body, is a whole series of other collaborative efforts. So out of the working group, we were able to make, people were able to make connections within the room. At one point, I remember having someone from the National Weather Service talking about the monitoring they do along the Tule Canal and in the river. And there were scientists from Department of Water Resources there saying, well, we do the same thing. So I think we were able to put those two agencies together and prevent some redundancy. The other efforts I just wanted to quickly mention that have come out of this, the working group, include the Yolo Bypass drainage and wind infrastructure study you heard about yesterday. That was an idea that started at the working group, and the county took up the charge, found grant money, and has worked with every single landowner that I was able to find in the Yolo Bypass. And I think that we have a very good group of projects that will move along the flood management plan and Bay Delta conservation plan as a result, and that's totally based in the local community. The idea for the ag economics model that Yolo County has done came out of this group. There's various water quality studies. The Yolo Bypass Fish Enhancement Planning Team, that is the basis of working out Conservation Measure 2 of the Bay Delta Conservation Plan, is an outgrowth of the working group. I think studies like those being done on salmon at the Nags Ranch are really, they saw the example of a group of people that's been able to work together, and I think we inspired that group of scientists. Right now, or yesterday, we had a meeting where we were hearing about the Lower Sacramento River Delta North Regional Flood Management Plan, and a proposal by the county to do an integrated plan for the entire Yolo bypass that looks at both flood control efforts, habitat efforts, preservation of agriculture, and meeting the needs of the biological opinion and the Bay Delta Conservation Plan. And I think that's ultimately what we've all been trying to do, is trying to integrate all these different efforts. I could talk for 20 years, obviously, so I'll stop there. But